Say, yeah. All right. My name is Ralph Holguin. I'm with Universal Technical Institute, better known as UTI. Today's presentation, I'm basically going to cover, a few details of UTI so you understand what it is that we do at our school. It's basically a school that trains students to become technicians. So we have various programs that are going to train you on automotive, diesel, collision repair. We also have a welding program, so on and so forth. There's going to be a small portion of this presentation where we're going to kind of break away from UTI and we're going to talk about you and your future and what it should look like and what you want it to look like, okay? So a little information of UTI before we go there. So Universal Technical Institute is basically 55 years old now. We have over 12 locations across the country. We have 2 in Texas, 1 in Dallas and 1 in Houston. We do have locations, of course, East Coast, the West Coast, and then, of course, our Arizona campuses. So students from this area generally will go to the Dallas campus. Now, we do have a student from Plainview that broke the mold, and this student went to the Avondale campus. His name is Brandon Schmidt. He is there right now. If you guys, I don't know if you know him or not, he's a taller Hispanic guy. But like I said, he broke the mold because up to then, I feel like everybody had kind of gone to the Dallas campus, okay? The programs we offer at UTI, auto, NASCAR, diesel, collision repair, welding, CNC machine, motorcycle, power sports, and the Marine program. So as you see that every single one of these programs requires your mind and your hands, right? So a student that comes to UTI likes to work with their hands, okay? I'm not going to say that we're not academically driven, right? Because it requires that you think, right? That you use your mind because, automotive, there's systems that are very complex, just like diesel, just like the NASCAR program. So, we want students that are going to excel not only academically, but are able to physically be able to do this type of work, okay? One of the biggest value factors in coming to UTI is we have over 35 industry partnerships, relationships. As you can see, there's many big names up here. Some of these companies are exclusive to UTI. In other words, for example, Porsche. We're the only Porsche training school in the country. We're the only Peterbilt and Cummins training schools in the country. We also do Lexus and Infiniti training that are exclusive to UTI. Of course, we also do the Ford training programs. We have General Motors. We have Toyota and Nissan. The boating industry is right here. And then the motorcycle industry is here. We are the only PhD program that is offered for Harley-Davidson, which is a big deal if you want to be a motorcycle technician. So the one thing I can tell you is that this is a standard that we are held to, right? As a school, this is something that we look at, that we try to prepare our students for. So just so you understand, the standard that we are held to, we hold our students to the same standard. So when a student comes to UTI, we drug test our students, right? Because at the same time, what happens when they leave our school? Who is their employer? These companies here. And are these companies going to drug test that student? Absolutely they are. Okay, so we're just trying to prepare our student for what's coming for the future and that they're employable, okay? So at this point, we're going to break away a little bit from our usual UTI presentation, and we're going to talk a little bit about you, okay? So the question on the screen says, what does it take to create the life you've imagined? Which is kind of interesting, right? Because some of us have this life we imagine for our future. It could be somewhat complex. It could be something like, maybe you want to buy an island and put a big house on it and have a triple garage with 3 Corvettes and 2 swimming pools. I mean, I don't know. It could be that, right? Or maybe you just want to have a nice home with a nice car and you want to be able to go on vacation, right? Like, I don't know what life you've imagined, but I know there's something out there that you want to achieve, right? You just don't want to live in, some little bunker and and have some little, 4-wheel car that doesn't really run every day. You don't want to live that kind of life. You kind of, your expectations are a little bit higher. There's a few bullet points that we feel like are important, okay? The first one is a plan. Like, why is a plan so important? Well, plan's important because how many of you have actually gone into your future? You haven't. Because it's impossible to do, right? It's just like going somewhere that you've never gone. Would you actually map it, or would you buy a map or put it in your phone, right, in your GPS to get there? You would, wouldn't you? Yeah, absolutely. So a plan is going to be exactly what a map does. It's going to have pathways, roadways, it's going to have destinations. And what you want is destinations in your future, right? So the first one that we know of that we want to happen is you want to graduate high school, right? And how do you do that? You come to school, you pass your classes, and you'll graduate, right? Get your credits, and it's done. So what happens is that's a destination. That's a goal. So what's the next place we want to go to? For some of us, it could be college, right? For some of us, it might be the military. But I just want to show you that there's places we want to go, and there's things that we kind of need to do to be able to create the life we've imagined, okay? The next one is determination and persistence. Why is determination and persistence so important as part of your plan? What is determination? Nobody? Determination means when you have it in your mind that you're going to achieve something no matter what happens. You are determined to complete it, right? So what's persistence? Well, persistence is the fuel of determination. That's the keep going. That's the thing that I'm just going to keep going, right? So this is what happens is that I feel like we lack determination and persistence. Because this is the thing, guys and girls. When you look at a successful person, why is it that we always look at a successful person up here, right? We always do that, right? Why is that successful? Why are they above us? And the reason is this. Their determination and persistence is outrageous. In other words, they fail, but it doesn't stop them, right? And I'm going to tell you today that there's going to be parts in your life where you're going to fail. But if you just quit, what happens is this. A successful person stands on their failures. That's why we look at them and they're above other people. People who are not successful stand amongst their failures. This is how this looks. So you try something, right? You try going to college and you're in college and it's hard and you go, I'm going to quit. And so what happens is you go try this other thing. And you try this and you're like, that's hard too, so I'm going to quit. And then you go do something else. And then what happens, eventually, you're standing amongst everything you quit, everything you failed at. Instead of challenging yourself and standing above it and standing over it and beating it, you're standing right there with it. Who do you want to be? You want to be successful, don't you? I want you to be successful. You have to be determined and you have to have persistence. Okay? Because if you lack these, life could be a struggle. You don't want it to be. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easy and it's gonna be like red roses and red carpets everywhere you go. But I want to tell you that you can make your life as great as you want to make it. Or you can make it as hard as you want to make it. It's up to you. It's in your hands. So why are we having this conversation about the life we want to create and plans, goals, determination, persistence, purpose, all this good stuff? And the reason is this tape measure of life. And I love this because this tape measure of life is basically describing to you exactly what most people's lives look like. So what we're looking at is this. You guys and girls in here are seniors. You are right here. And what's happening here is that you are fixing to enter the red zone of your life. The red zone is this. It's the career planning and preparation years. And so what happens here is that some students are going to go to college. Some students will go to the military. Some people will go to a school like UTI. Or some people will do nothing. And so what happens is that when you complete this here, by the time you get to the age of 24, you now enter the working years. Now, the working years, that happens to everybody. Whether you prepare for it or not, it's coming. So this is the thing. If we know that the working years are coming, why aren't we preparing here to get ready for it? Because one of two things is going to happen, okay? When you leave this phase here and you enter the working years, one of the things that could happen is that the working years are going to own you. And when I say it's going to own you, it's going to put you in a job that you don't like. You're going to struggle a little bit in life. You're going to live paycheck to paycheck, and you're not going to like it. Or what you could do is you could prepare yourself right here. You could go to college. You could go to community college. You go to UTI. You go to something like this. And when you walk out of here, you own the working years. What does that mean? You know what, working years? I got you. In other words, you get to control where it goes, how it goes, what career I go into, how much money I'm going to make. Why? Because you prepared yourself for it. And let me help you understand it just a little bit better. Some of you have parents that are right here. They're right in the middle of this working years. And the things that you hear at home and the things that you see at home will tell you that they don't like their situation. Especially their conversations, right? Like, oh, I hate my job. Man, I wish I made more money. Or you hear about the financial struggle. Man, I wish we had enough money for rent this month and I'm having to take from here to pay this. Or maybe you need lunch money. You go to mom and dad, hey, I need some lunch money this week. They're like, oh man, maybe Friday. You know what I mean? And what I'm saying is this, is like, I don't know any of you in this room, so I'm not talking specifically to somebody because I don't know your personal situation, but I want you to listen to that situation because I want you to look at what did mom and dad do to get there? And this is what they did. They graduated from high school and they tried something or they tried nothing. And something looked really good somewhere here. This job looks great. And so they jump into this job, and I promise you at 18, 19, 20 years of age, making 13, 14, 15 bucks an hour is great. But what happens is that eventually you get to this point in your life where you start having kids, you have a house, you have car payments and everything, and all of a sudden that 13, 14, 15 bucks an hour is not enough. And with their lack of education, what happens is that they've eliminated a lot of opportunities they could have gotten, but now they have to settle for 13, 14, 15 bucks an hour. So now what was great money is not very good anymore. So it was a decision. That's what got him there. Now, I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to go home and tell mom and dad that they're worthless, because they're not. It's not that. What it is they made a decision. That's all that happened. Now, nobody sits around and goes, man, I wish I'm broke. I wish I could be broke the rest of my life and live paycheck to paycheck. Like, who does that? Nobody does. But I tell you what happens is that we don't think about things and we just make a decision without thinking about what's the future for this decision. And then it happens. Now let me give you some good news. Because it's like doom and gloom right now. Everybody's looking at me like, what is this guy talking about? You are right here. And you have not entered the planning stages, the career preparation stages, have you? Man, that's such good news. You know why? Because you get to do something. You get to do something. You get to own the working years. You get to tell those years where they go and how they go. Okay? So be encouraged, be happy, be excited about what's fixing to happen. Because I promise you, if you do what mom and dad did and you don't like what their situation is, that's called insanity. It's going to happen again. It's not going to be different. You got to change what happened. And it starts right here. And everybody can do that. Okay? How can you do that? Influence your future. Give yourself a chance for it to be a little bit better, right? Through an education. Through the military, possibly. If you don't want to leave home, far from home, you go to a community college, and man, you guys have Wayland Baptist University right here that you could go to. No excuses, man. You could walk to college every day if you needed to. Plainview's not that big, right? And some of you aren't made for this type of education, so you could go get a skill-based training program like UTI, okay? So I want to tell you this. I want to encourage you today that there's no school too big and no school too expensive for you to go to. We live in a country that will help you, will allow you to go. Of course, some colleges require certain GPAs, certain requirements. You got to meet those requirements. But as far as financially goes, everybody can go to school if they want to go. There is a way for you to go to school, okay? So it's up to you to be willing to take that on, okay? But if you can't tell me that, oh man, that school's too expensive. I have a sister who went to Baylor University. I know what it costs to go to college. That was somewhat expensive. But she graduated, and today she has a phenomenal career. She has a really good career. She does very well financially, okay? So I know what education does. I know the doors that education opens. Okay? Give yourself a chance. Okay? All right, so we're going to jump back in real quick on what UTI does and how we help our student. So if you attended UTI right now, the current market situation, in other words, the job situation, is very high in demand. Okay, so if you could see right here, it says by 2028. Well, I can tell you right now that the job openings currently in the country, far exceed the people who are actually trained to do it. In other words, there's more jobs available than people that actually are training and are available to do the job. So there's this huge gap in employment. The second thing that's happening is this. What is this? It's technology. It's being introduced into the auto, diesel, collision repair, even motorcycle industry at a level that is becoming very complex. So today's vehicle is not only more intelligent, but it's more complicated. And so since this vehicle is harder to work on, you throw demand on top of this technology, and what do you have? A better paying career. This is exactly what's happening. So technicians today can make more money because of the vehicle they're having to work on. Okay? They even changed their name. They used to call them mechanics. You know what they call a mechanic today? They call them a technician. Why do they call them a technician? Because all the technology they work on. You see, the career is changing that even the name changed. That's pretty crazy, right? If you came to UTI, you'd be there for a year or less, depending on your training. As you can see, automotive is 51 weeks, diesel is 45 weeks, which is right at 10 months. The NASCAR program is 48 weeks, which is a little over 10 months. Collision repair is 1 year. Welding is 36 weeks. CNC machining is 36 weeks. Motorcycle and power sports is 42 weeks. And then, of course, the Marine program is 1 year. So the way this works is if a student came and did the automotive program, it takes them 51 weeks to graduate. When this student graduates from here, they have two options. Number one, they could go to work because there's plenty of work available. Number two, they could stay and they could do advanced training. So the way this works is you do 1 year of training, and then if you wanted to stay and you wanted to do, for example, the Ford program would be 5 more months. So now you have 1 year plus 5 months. That's a short period of time, right? So what happens in this? So I can tell you right now that like AutoNation, for example, AutoNation Chevrolet in Amarillo, for example. If a student does this 51-week program, the starting pay for this student at AutoNation is $16 an hour. If they threw in the General Motors program, which would be just 3 more months, if they had this training right here, their starting pay would be $21 an hour. So do you see, just with a little bit more training, how much more pay they actually get? And the reason they're willing to pay this student a little bit more is because they have certified training through the company. So this is a huge influence on a student. So think about their age, right? I always think about this. So when a student comes to UTI, their average age is 18 years of age. After they complete this program of 1 year, most students will be about 19 years old. You had 3 more months of training on that. They're usually still 19 or they're early 20. But can you imagine starting your career, starting your life at 16, 17, 18, 19, $20 an hour? And knowing that that's where I started? Because what does that mean? That's my starting point. What comes next? You get to go up, right? Raises. You get to advance your career. You get to do some pretty great things. So eventually this job becomes something that provides really well, okay? So a quick example, I have a son who went to UTI. He's now 22 years old. His name is Zachary Holguin. He graduated from Hereford High in 2016. When he graduated from Hereford High, he was not a student that was academically sound, just to put it nicely. He graduated from high school, but there wasn't really a route for, a university or something like that because his grades just weren't up to it. And so he decided to go to UTI because to go to UTI, all required is a high school diploma. Okay, so we don't need SATs, ACTs, anything like that. Okay, not even your TSI. So when he went through the auto program, he actually qualified for Mercedes-Benz. Now to go through the Mercedes-Benz program, it requires that you have a 3.5 or better GPA at UTI, and he did. So yeah, he wasn't a very good student in high school, but when he got to an environment that he was good at, he thrived. He did really well. So he went through the Mercedes-Benz program, and his first job right out of school was at a Mercedes-Benz dealership in Plano, Texas. His starting pay at that dealership was $21 an hour. Okay? He decided to move back to Amarillo. It's where we all live now. When he got back to Amarillo, there's not a Mercedes dealership in Amarillo, but he went to work at Street Toyota. He's been at Street Toyota for a little bit over a year now. 4 weeks ago, he bought his first house. At the age of 22, he is buying his first house. Now, I know it's not like this crazy wow thing, like he went 15 and buying a house, right? I get it. But man, he's 22. And it's just amazing to me to see that a 22-year-old has the potential, the career, and making the money to be able to purchase a house. That is just pretty good. Pretty darn good, okay? The diesel program will basically do the same thing, but it's a 10-month program. And then, of course, you have Cummins, Freightliner, Western Star, and Peterbilt. That's part of this that you could continue to do. The NASCAR program, of course, offers Ford, Mopar, Nissan, and then the collision repair program, which is working on cars that have been in an accident, okay? 135. Okay, so the welding program is 9 months. CNC machine is 9 months. Motorcycle and power sports is 10 months. And then the marine program is 1 year. All right, so we're going to go just through a brief description of one of these programs, right? So if you came to UTI, what does it look like? So your training is going to be on engines, transmissions, electrical, technical systems, troubleshooting, diagnostics, brake systems, steering and suspension, transmission repairs, HVAC, which is basically air conditioning, and you do 6 weeks of power performance. During the 6 weeks, the first 3 weeks, you're going to be able to build a 350 engine. We're going to take that 350 engine, we're going to drop it into a T-bucket race car. We're going to chassis dyno this T-bucket to make, to see how well you built your engine. Then we take cars like these up here, and we're going to train you on NOS, nitrous, superchargers, turbos, performance chips. We're going to download maps, create maps, and we're going to tune cars. So all of this happens in 1 year. When you graduate from this program, for example, if you went to the UTI campus in Dallas, you actually achieve an associate degree from this program. You get all of your automotive certifications, you get all the power and performance. But what's even more important is that you have opened the door to opportunity. Okay? And that's how it works. Now, what level does it work at, right? Like, how much money can you make and how well does it go is completely up to you. Because just to educate you a little bit, right? So I've had students that go through these programs, right? Like I've had several students go through the diesel program. And financially, if I told you how well they were doing, your mouth would just drop. You would be like, what? Like that kind of money? I'm like, yeah, that kind of money. But the thing is this, that UTI, and just like any other college, what is the college doing for you? It's educating you and it's documenting the education. In other words, you're getting a degree, a certification, or something like that, right? So what happens after you receive this document? This document is opening doors now, right? That's what it does. It gives you an opportunity to go knock on doors and go through doors that if you didn't have it, you couldn't go through them, right? That's what a degree does. But once you get there, who is the one that's going to make that career great? The person. You see, the company hires the person. They don't hire this piece of paper. The piece of paper just proves that you have the education, the training, everything to be able to do that job. But as soon as you walk in the door and you begin to do the job, you put that piece of paper down, and now it's the person that makes this career go up. How do you do that? You show up on time. You be a great employee, not a good one. Because I promise you, college will not guarantee you anything. All it's doing is giving you a document saying, hey, you have received this education. You have knowledge of how to do this job. But now it's up to you to actually go in there and do it. Okay? Because I tell UTI students, listen, when you come to UTI and you graduate, you are not Superman. You don't know how to fix everything. Not yet. What you have is a piece of paper proving that you know how and you have knowledge of how to do it, but you've never done it. So now you got to go show them that you can. That's what it is. And that's what education does, okay? So understand that. But the funny thing is this. Don't get the education, then what happens? I'll tell you what happens. I've done this before. You should try it. Go to Indeed.com or one of those job websites, right? And then it asks you, like, what salary are you seeking? And just put in some enormous amount, right? Like $200,000 a year. And it's funny that every job that pays that kind of money, the requirements on it, college degree, college degree, college degree, college degree, college degree, every single one of them. So what does that tell you and me? If I had a college degree, I could actually apply for that job. But since I don't, what job can I apply for? We'll lower the salary and keep lowering. And eventually you're going to go, hey, look, that one doesn't require a college degree. UP, right? It'd be like Whataburger and McDonald's. And I'm not saying those are bad jobs, but man, who wants to do those for 40 years? Man, I hope you don't want to, because I know I don't want to. I flipped burgers in my life before I was your age. It was fun then, but I can imagine doing it now, you know? All right, so a couple things before we get done, okay? So this school is going to train you and teach you on different areas. The welding program will train you on MIG, stick, flux core arc welding, TIG welding, pipe welding. The CNC machining program will go to the basics of machining, mathematics, material maintenance, interpreting blueprints, job layouts, manual machining basics on the lathe, on the mill, CAD and CAM systems. The motorcycle program is going to train you on motorcycles, street bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, watercraft, snowmobiles, etc. The marine program is going to train you on boats, okay? So when you complete this program, you have opportunity. The campuses, really nice facilities. This is the Avondale campus, Dallas. Really beautiful facilities. If you guys ever have the opportunity to go tour a campus, I recommend that you do it. Just because they're cool places. If you just were able to go check one out. The Houston campus, NASCAR Tech in Morrisville, North Carolina. 4,500 employer locations that offer incentives to UTI graduates. Basically what happens here is that there's over 4,500 employers that are now offering UTI graduates not only a job, but they're offering to help you pay for school. Okay, so Alderson, right up the road from us in Lubbock, the Alderson Auto Group pays 100% of your tuition if you attend UTI and you come back and go to work for them. Now, the incentive is this. You have to sign a contract with them, but in return, they're paying for your education. I think that's a win-win in anybody's case, right? Okay, so if you guys are interested, there's a couple ways we could do this. If you want to scan this, it's going to pull up an inquiry card, and you could just take it with you because we're getting to where we're basically out of time. The other thing I want to do for you today is if you are interested, I want you to take a brochure. They're over there on that bookshelf. Take one of those with you, and there's a business card. That business card is this number right here. So if you're interested, you can just shoot me a text. Take that business card with you. Go, hey, I was in your class today. I'm interested in attending UTI. That's it, and we'll talk. One of the things I want you to know, you are a senior this year. So for seniors, what we do is we set up a meeting with you and your parents. I would come to Plainview. I would sit down with you and your parents. We could do it at your house, discuss going to UTI, and then figure out this is the way we want to go. The other thing we could also do is do a virtual meeting, okay? If mom and dad are like COVID scared or whatever, I don't blame them. So we could do it virtually, okay? So I don't have to come to your house. We could do it through the computer, all right? Last thing, do we have any questions? No questions? Okay. I want to thank you guys. I wish you the best for your future. If it is UTI, we'll be talking soon. If it's not UTI, please let it be another school, because you definitely want to get an education, right? Because the working years are coming, and they're coming fast. All right. I thank y'all. Y'all have a good day. Appreciate it.